Welcome to the Living Quadratus podcast and welcome to our table of friendship. We have two wishes. First, we want this to be a free and safe space, a table of true friendship for all of us, regardless of our any identity or category. And second, we want to explore the everyday practices of Quadratus, our name for a universal pattern that lives in everything and as a Christian is the very reason for the four Gospels. Living Quadratus will help us uncover an inner freedom in the Christian tradition that has until now been largely hidden or seemingly absent. And it will help us all, regardless of your particular tradition or no tradition. I'm Bron Thorogood, a Quadratus practitioner, joining you from Newcastle, Australia, where I live on Awabakal land. And with me is our co-host, Alexander John Shire, author and founder of Quadratus, joining you from the Camino and the ancient Celtic lands of northwest Spain. Welcome to our table of friendship, and as you join us, we invite you to write any comments or questions that you may have for us so that we can really include you at our table.
Thanks. And I want to emphasize, please, we'd love this to be a conversation, even though we're in virtual reality. Come join this table of honest, true conversation. Share with us. We will respond in the ways that we're able. And we also really want you to bring yourself as you are, your authentic self. Certainly, Bron and I are what I think of as a wide, compassionate, and universal Christian tradition. But we welcome you from whatever tradition or no tradition. Come, join the conversation. Sit with us a while.
Would you like to strike the gong, Alexander John, so we can have some quiet time just to bring our hearts together across the globe? So as you are here in this space, wherever you are, just stop, just pause. And if it's comfortable for you, you might like to just close down your eyes or perhaps allow them just to look downward in a gentle stare. And bring your attention to your breath. Feel the breath entering your nose, going down the back of your throat. Maybe you can notice that your chest rises and falls. Your belly expands. Just take this moment to be with your breath. And perhaps together, we might like to take one deep belly breath just to join us together, knowing that we're all one, really. So breathing in through the nose, deep breath in. Feel it resonate through the chest and down into the belly. Hold it there for a moment. And then allow it to slowly exhale through your nose. And feeling your breath just back to its normal rhythm. Allow your attention to go to your feet. Can you feel where your feet are? Can you feel what's touching your feet? Can you feel what your feet are touching? What other parts of your body are touching a surface? Just notice those parts now. And bringing your attention to your hands and noticing where they are. Are they touching one another? Are they gently resting on a table or on your thighs? Just notice where they are. How do they feel from the inside out? Just bring your whole self. Your whole self is welcome here. Notice how your heart rate is perhaps slowing down. Just feel the steady flow through your heart. Just imagine that we're all sitting at the table together with our cup of tea or coffee, hot chocolate, ice cold water. Be present in this moment with us, with each other. And when Alexander John strikes the gong, it's an invitation for you to come back into this space. Allow your eyes just to flutter open. And here we are again, together.
Thanks, Bron. Wow. It was a stormy night here on the coast of Spain, and I didn't sleep very well, but those few minutes I feel totally rested. So
Yeah.
in our first episode, you so graciously asked about me and my life and my work. And in this episode, I get to ask you. We get to learn more about who you are. And the first thing is just in this moment, what is your heart yearning for?
Yeah, it's such a big question, but in this moment, having spent probably the last 10 years learning how to love myself, I think in this moment, my heart is yearning to be aligned with that whole frequency of love, to feel like the deep rhythm of love echoing through the universe, through people in front of me.
Mm.
Yeah, just to know that, wherever I look, I could see love.
Mm.
That's what my heart is yearning for.
Mm.
Some expression of love.
Wow. So
Mm.
beautiful. I just noticed how that just comes from the inside out. So it makes me curious. What's the story of how you got here?
Mm. I just need to say too that, I've been thinking a lot about the just that whole flow, the whole flow of love, and how that has kind of resonated through my life, even though I may not have been aware of it.
Hmm.
So I grew up in a place called Jesmond, which is like a little suburb west of Newcastle. Maybe it was about 10 minutes drive from the beach as I was growing up. I lived there with mum and dad and my brother. And it
So,
was back,
let me
yeah,
tell
yeah.
us where Newcastle is in Australia.
Yeah, so if everyone can just imagine Sydney, hopefully you'll be able to know Sydney. It's on the east coast of Australia. So on the east coast of Australia, we have Queensland at the north, and then we have New South Wales, and then we have Victoria, and then we have Tasmania right down the bottom. Um, Newcastle is pretty much in the middle of New South Wales on the east coast. So every morning I can get up and go for a swim at our local beach with a whole crowd of other people that I love very much.
Wow.
And yeah, and we're about 150 k's north of Sydney. So if you know where Sydney is, you just go 150 k's and that's where you'll find Newcastle. But Newcastle is like the best kept secret because it's got everything, but we don't want everybody here because it's beautiful.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. I feel a
That's
little
okay.
oriented to that east coast of Australia.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a gorgeous place. Yes, it's a beach city, and we also on the western part of if you travel out west, you come to the vineyards. If you travel north, you come to what's called Nelson Bay, and it's just like a very still water place. We have a lake. We've got everything. It's just like the
Mhm.
best place to live. So I've
Okay.
been very blessed
So
to live here
don't
for
tell
most of
everybody
my
about
life.
this.
No, it's a big secret, everyone.
Right. And the other thing I've always
Yeah,
noticed
so
is you so beautifully talk about the fact that you're on is it Awabaki land?
Awabakal,
And what is that
Awabakal land.
for those of us in the rest of the world? What does that mean? Because
Mm,
I know that most Australians will talk about this in a way that I don't
mm,
think many people around the world do
mm.
or think.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm really proud to say that I live on Awabakal land, and the Warramai people also live in around this area as well. But in Australia, there are many Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander countries, and um, but the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders are the oldest living culture, existing culture in the world. They've been here for over 60,000 years. But
Wow.
when the
You said
when we
60,000, not
yeah,
6,000,
yeah,
60,000.
no, 60,000.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
incredible.
It really is. And if you go into Central Australia, and I'm sure there are other places too, but I've been into Central Australia and seen some of the rock paintings that the Aboriginal people have done, back in those early days. And it's just, it's incredible to think that in the middle of Australia, when we went on a tour around there, the tour guide would say, look out the window and you'll see a pharmacy, a supermarket. It's all there because that's how the Aboriginal people lived. Like we think we need buildings to do it. They lived on the land and they lived successfully and peacefully, and they had traditions and respect for each country. And that's why we acknowledge country when we like. That's why I like to acknowledge that I'm meeting from the Awabakal land and Awabakal country because when any Aboriginal person came to a country, they would stand on the border and they would wait until they were met and then they would ask permission to enter. And then the people who were the custodians of that particular country would then say, yeah, you're welcome to come on, and these are our rules, and we ask that you would abide by those rules. And so they would come on, and they would know what they can eat, what they can't eat, what they can kill, what they can't kill, and yeah, and how they can interact with the land and the people. So that's how they did it. And I think we just have so much to learn from the way that they live, and we still have a lot to learn from the way our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander brothers and sisters live today, when they've been so oppressed, and it's been, yeah, even like their history has been oppressed. It's like, let's just not talk about it. But now, because of their persistence, because of their strength, they have a voice, and we're hoping. I mean, I say that word because that just opens a whole new can of worms in a conversation. But because they don't legally have a voice like we would have liked them to have a couple of years ago when we had a referendum. But to my mind, I will always listen because they have such wisdom to share. So yeah, that's why that's important to me to say.
Such a beautiful story of hospitality, of true hospitality,
Yeah.
which is where we meet each other.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it reminds me of in the Southwest of the United States, the Navajo tradition. When someone comes to visit a Navajo household, they come up to the door and they knock, and then they stand back 15 or 20 paces and they wait. And that waiting could be 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or even longer. And the people in the household look out to see who's there. And then they put the kettle on and they prepare the space. And then they open the door. And I love that sense of intentionality about greeting.
Yeah.
And that's something that we very much want for this podcast. That we really want to do the work of preparing to greet you. Anyway.
And I think as well, I'd like to say that on whatever land you are listening or watching this podcast, welcome. Welcome, and I acknowledge your land as well. We both acknowledge your land.
So I may have taken us a little bit afield, but back to this story of your yearning to be loved.
So I grew up in Jesmond, and at the time when I was growing up, it was just coming out of being a working class suburb. The university had been built in Jesmond, and so the population was changing. It changed a lot from when I was born until I went to university. There was a huge shift in the types of people that were coming to live in Jesmond, and but it was a great place to grow up. I used to walk to school. I was in walking distance to my infant school, walking distance to my primary school, walking distance to my secondary school, and we used to walk through paddocks, and there were horses there, and we would feed the horses apples, and it was just an incredible place. But now it's full of houses, and there's major highways where we used to walk to school. So major difference now, but great place to grow up and a great place to live. And I have a really close relationship with my mum, and she took me and my brother to our local Anglican church. And at that time, back in the 60s, it was the community's hub. It was only a little tiny church, but so many. It used to be full when we would go to church. And I went to the Anglican church probably, and all the way through. And I went to something called GFS, which was the Girls Friendly Society, and then youth group, and that's where I met the boys. So I was always allowed to go out with boys from youth group. But no one, everyone else was like, oh, I don't know, So it was great being part of of this church community. There were church picnics and things that it just doesn't. It's different now, but back then it was an absolute community of people, and it was great to be part of that community.
Right.
I went to Newcastle University when I left school, and I studied, at that time it was a College of Advanced Education, and I studied primary teaching. And when I was at university, like I was a bit of a wild child, I think. It was just great getting into uni and mixing with people, and it was it was a great life when I had lots of friends and I really wasn't part of a church or anything at that time. I just sort of gone off on my merry little way. And as once I graduated, I was sent down to a school in Western Sydney, like out near Windsor, like in the foothills of the Blue Mountains. So that's where I started teaching, and I taught there for a couple of years, and then I started teaching I studied in special education, and my whole, like, that was what I really wanted to do. I never wanted to be a teacher until I got into special education, and I loved doing that. When I started teaching, I was invited to a Bible study by one of the teachers. So, sorry, I should just interject there. I got married somewhere in amongst all of that. So I studied, I started teaching, I met my husband, and we got married. I had a baby, I was teaching, and met this beautiful family. They asked me to a Bible study, and I went to that Bible study. And when I came home from that Bible study, like, everything changed for me in my marriage.
Bron, let me ask, because I think
Yeah.
that this is a
Mm-hmm.
critical moment in your journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you were going to the Anglican Church as a young person,
Yeah.
was it
Yeah.
the community that was drawing you more than the story?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I know. The story didn't make sense to me, I have to say.
Ah,
I didn't,
okay.
I couldn't, I'd hear the readings in the Bible, and they really didn't make sense. I was there. It was the community,
Okay.
definitely, that held me there. But this
Yeah.
night at Bible study, it was different. And I want to share a couple of, like, huge encounters that I've had along the way that have impacted me, and therefore that have brought me to this moment. Um, but I arrived home from that Bible study, and that was the time when I realized, oh, my husband is not, like, has had no history of Christianity at all. But not only that, if he did, he was like anti it. Because when I walked in, when at that door, he just met me he was, yeah, he was just like, you're different, you need to go, this is over for us. It's like, why? I don't understand why. Anyway, it was just full on anger, and it was, yeah, it was almost like demonic, I suppose. It was just really scary. Anyway, and I was scared. And from that time on, our marriage lasted about 10 years. I had 4 kids in that marriage, about 10 years, and I lived a dual life from then on. I lived a life where I used to sneak out to go to church. That's how important it was for me to be fed then. And I would have my life with my family. And so,
And church
you
at
know,
that time was the Bible church?
well, they were just starting a small community church. And so I was like at the really early stages of this growing community church, which ended up growing to be quite a large church. And and I used to just pretend I was going to go shopping, and then I would call in and, go to church for half an hour or whatever, and then head back home with my shopping. So, it's a crazy, crazy memory to have, but it was, it was a challenge. And so after 10 years, I just decided I couldn't live like that anymore. And it was, and so I left, which was a huge decision to make with 4 little children. My eldest was 7, my youngest was, 14 months. But I did, and I'm glad. It was the right thing to do at the time. But I really want to talk about 3 encounters that I've had, because my I guess God encounters. Because my journey from that moment, I thought my journey would improve, my life would improve when I had separated, and I'd be allowed to just worship when I wanted to, or whatever, go to church, whatever, when I wanted to. But that wasn't to be the case. It really got worse before it got better. So my first encounter with God was at that Bible study. And so as I said to you, when I was in going to the Anglican church as a kid, up until I was a teenager, I didn't really understand the whole story at all. I mean, I knew Jesus' life and I was taught all those things, but that was it. And then at this Bible study, it was like, I don't know, something happened. I was like, whoa, I suddenly get it. And I just totally felt open, and it was warm. It was like full on love. I just really felt it. So that was my first encounter. It was just, I can't dispute it. It was not like anything I'd had before, but it was a huge experience that I'd had. My second encounter was when I had separated from my husband, and he went around multiple churches in our area and started, I would say, I just go canvassing priests to get them to come and tell me that I needed to go back to that marriage. And because that was the time when that was what churches did, they didn't, if it was an abusive marriage, it didn't matter. You stayed. If you're a Christian, you stay. So
So you were being told to stay in the marriage no matter how destructive it was.
Yeah. So anyway, I had a number of different priests call me and say, "Can I come around and see you?" I'm like, no, not interested. And then I thought, okay, well, I will. It was the Anglican church, I think, the local Anglican church. So I went, okay, you can come and talk. I was staying with friends at the time, and they lived in the bush. So he came in and talked to me and asked me what was, why I'd left. And so I explained all the circumstances, and he heard the whole thing. Like, I was clearly traumatized, and he said, "Oh, I hear it. I can hear it, Bron. That sounds really bad. But if you're a Christian, you'll go back." Like, oh no, I won't. So anyway, I was like, thanks very much. Saw him out the door, and then I just took a walk in the bush. And as I was walking in the bush, this is when this encounter happened. I was just like I was walking with someone. This person had a blue denim shirt on and blue jeans. There was no one there, but I mean, I felt like I was walking with someone, and I'm just like talking out. And what I heard then was this, you know what? It's all going to feel like it's just all gone to hell. But I'm just telling you now that it's going to feel like you'll lose everything, and then you're going to get it all back again. And anyway, this huge storm came, and I realized, goodness, I don't even know how long I'd been walking. And I ran back, and I was saturated when I got back. But I'll never forget that. That was like, it's just like that moment when my eyes kind of opened up and my heart opened up at Bible study. It was just like, who was that, But I definitely had this sense that someone was listening to me as I'm talking and saying, it's going to be okay, hang in there, it's all going to be good. Anyway, so that was, there were many times I really thought, no, that guy just told me a whole bunch of lies. But anyway, the other story that I want to share is I used to take the kids down, and I dropped them off halfway to, like, my ex-husband was living in Sydney and I was living in Newcastle. I'd gone back home to be with Mum and Dad, and near mum and dad, and I would drive my kids down halfway, and he would drive up and pick them up, and then he'd take them. And every time I dropped them off, he would just yell at the top of his voice, "You think you're a Christian, you're going to burn in hell because you're not a Christian." Anyway, and of course I would just get in the car and I'd drive home, I'd be bawling my eyes out. And but something happened in that car on the way home. Each time I did that, I must have done it 4 or 5 times where that had happened, and then I thought, maybe I'm not a Christian. Like, okay, I'm not a Christian. Like, okay, I'm not. Just forget it. But by the time I got home, it was just like, oh, thank you so much. I just was overcome with love. So my experience of God has been in the deepest and darkest and horrible moments. I've either got this personified being beside me, or this, I don't know, the essence of love coming down upon me in my grief and trauma. But then what had happened after that was, I came up to Newcastle and I had to find myself another church. So I was going to all different churches. And one of the things I wanted to know was, well, I'm divorced, so what will happen if I get married? And they were like, well, we don't marry divorced people. And so if you get married, like you could go and get married in another church, but then come back, but we can't marry you here. It's just like, it's so hypocritical, So, I just found that the churches that I went to, the beautiful people that, I didn't go to that church, but the churches that I did go to were beautiful people. But I just kept feeling like, this is not the God that I met in my car. It's not the God that I met in the bush. It's like, oh, but we've got to keep our eye out that we don't let these people in. And, and it's very rule-based. And I just felt like the God I met was not the God that they were talking about in the churches. Anyway, so I got married again, and we had another baby, and so like my life has been okay, although it's been so, like, you can imagine the remnants of the agony of living through all of that, and what that did to me as Bron, it just left me. It just left me feeling like I wasn't enough. I would never be able to fit in anywhere,
So you had this personal experience of a spiritual reality.
Yeah.
But you felt like if you really showed who you were, that somehow that wasn't going to be enough.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that was my experience. And so, like, fast forward many years of education, loving every bit of it, and finishing work in 2021, my full-time work. And that was a very traumatic time too. I was just a broken person, really. And then I read your book with some friends, and then I heard you talk to Rob Bell about Quadratos and how you were setting up communities around the world. And I thought, oh my goodness, I really want to be part of that. I'm going to look into that. And so with another friend, we both joined a community. And at that time, as I said, I was just in a major transition time in my life, and Quadratos just spoke to me.
Can you tell particularly what it was that was drawing you?
Yeah, it was that it was like there was no doctrine. It was like there was like, this is so. Each of the Gospels are written to different populations, and it takes us through the four different paths of the human journey. And so it was like, oh, so this is not about being good or bad or right or wrong, or this is just about understanding this map, like that I can follow.
Yeah.
at this time when I'm broken.
Yeah.
And of course, we start at at the time when you're going through a transition. It was just just incredible timing. And so I cried for the first two guides, like with my beautiful community. Just half the time I just couldn't say anything because it was just like, I feel seen, you know?
You were in a heart and mind circle.
Yeah.
And in a contemplative way, you were walking the inner journey
Yeah.
using the gospel text as the outer story to touch your own
Yeah.
inner journey.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. And, like the Gospel of like Matthew is written about a temple demolishing. It was like, oh my goodness, if I'd known this back in 1990, I would have been way better prepared for what was to happen and probably navigated it way better than what I did. Um, but at that time in my life, I was going through another major transition just to know that, oh, this is what happens when the temple collapsed. And like work was my temple, and it really was my temple. I loved it. And yeah, so.
And that's a truth for all of us, that
Mm,
no matter our
mm,
life, some temple is going to come down, usually by a shock.
mm,
It
yeah,
might be our health, it might be work, it might be relationship,
yeah,
trouble with children, etc. But it's like life goes on, and then suddenly there's an event, and
mm, mm.
we find ourselves on a new journey.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I bet you, people who are listening now, like just can you put a comment in the comment place and then just tell us what's your experience? Have you experienced anything like this as well? Like I'd love to hear that. So yeah, that's how I came to be here in Quadratus, and for me, it's just been so. This has been 1921 when I joined. It's 26, so it's nearly 5 years now. I have grown and adjusted to my my past so much in these 5 years, and you know the other thing that I love that I've done is I joined Quadratus in 2021, and then in 2023 I started a mindfulness meditation teaching certificate program, and it was teaching me, even though it sort of comes from like a Buddhist kind of tradition, it was teaching me the same things. And that excited me so much because for a long time I would not, like, even now I'm uncomfortable saying I'm a Christian,
Mm.
because I don't want to be linked with the Christian the Christian experience that I've had that hurt me so much.
Yeah.
So, to hear Quadratus' message and then to hear um, the mindfulness meditation teaching I was getting from a Buddhist perspective, um, to be so similar, I thought, yeah, this is incredible that I have found a practice that is Christian, but has taught me how to live, and how to experience um, darkness and not think I'm bad or being punished.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to say that how you go through like the change. I've made this transition, and then the suffering that of making that choice. It's hard. It's hard to walk it, but then there's light. There's this light. I have never experienced that light. Like it took me years to sort of go, oh,
Mm.
I think I'm experiencing joy for the first time, real joy. Yeah. So yeah,
What's
that's
so
what brought me here.
powerful to me in what you're saying is there is one reality that everyone
Yeah.
on this planet is walking. There is a map. The map doesn't take away the fact that you've got to walk it,
Yeah.
but there's a map. And it's right there in Buddhism in the Four Noble Truths. Same map, different words, different metaphors. And right at the very heart of Christianity is a map that so many of our scholars today have confused or told us it was put together by men sitting on the veranda sipping gin and trading these texts like baseball cards. No, no, not that there couldn't be truths in other texts that were called gospels, but these four are the very core of something that's universal. And that's what brings such a beauty and truth to the Christian tradition. And I love that you've had the experience, like we hope that many people who are sitting at our table right now, if you're Buddhist, if you're Jewish, if you're Navajo,
Yeah.
and if you're Christian, let's talk about this one journey and the map to this one journey that we all know.
Mm. Mm.
And you probably have learnings that I can learn from. And I might have a few things that I want to share that I hope you might learn from too. I,
Mm.
that just, it excites me so much that you developed in a Buddhist mindfulness practice something that is a jewel for all of us.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that that's what I love about the circles that we have, is that I learn from the people who are sitting in this circle without getting too spiritual. Spirit. Spirit is just like in there.
Mm.
And I mean, I still go to an Anglican church. I love it. I go to our local cathedral, and they have a choir, and the preaching's great there. It's very inclusive and very social justice driven, and so I feel very comfortable there as well. But this is home.
Thank you. So
Mm.
from everything that you've shared of your story, what right now has the most heart for you? If there's one lesson or message you want to share with everybody at the table right now.
I think it is the rhythm. Yeah, that universal rhythm. It's the it's the flow. That's that's what has the that's what has the most heart. It's like, yeah, there's been dark times, but there's been good times, and almost like sometimes there's been dark times and good times all happening at exactly the same time. It's a flow.
Mm-hmm.
And um yeah, and I just think all along love was present. I was not neglected.
Mm.
And I felt at a time I felt neglected, but now I know I wasn't neglected. I was loved. That's like that. I think that is the heart of what I've learned and where I am now.
So I'm gonna raise my
Mm.
one of our Quadratus mugs.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I so love that you've opened up this space that our table can be friendship, a place of friendship
Mm.
for
Mm.
everyone
Yeah.
who also
Yeah. I
wants
hope
to
so.
know about this universal map that we all know about.
Yeah. Yeah. This is going to be great. I really hope that we have more people at our table next time, because we'll be able to perhaps bring into our conversation some of the things that people have said to us over these next couple of weeks as they listen and digest what we've had to say.
And we've had this conversation back and forth about quantum physics and
Yeah.
Quadratus, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that that's going to be another episode down the line.
Yeah. Yeah,
But there are
definitely. I can't wait.
so many things today as we leave behind the time of the Enlightenment, as we leave behind Newtonian physics. So
Hmm.
much of the Christian discussion today is the discussion of Newtonian physics, but we're now living in quantum physics, which
Yeah.
requires that we have an entirely different view of the Gospels.
Yeah. Yes.
The Gospels are
Yes, indeed.
singing forth quantum physics.
Yeah,
Anyway,
they really are.
um, all
Yeah.
right, to be continued. Um,
I know. I know.
thank you so much, Bron, for sharing
Yeah, it's my
your heart and your story.
mm, my pleasure.
Love to you in this season.
Yeah, love to you as well.
And to
Yeah. See you
everybody
next
watching
time.
and listening, and everybody, here's to you.
Here's to you, everyone. See you next time.
See you next time.